Hi all, I have a very interesting game to show you, by recommendation actually from one of you, on an earlier game I covered from the Chess Olympiad 2016. The Chinese prodigy Wei Yi is playing board 4 for China in this Olympiad. The Chinese team, looking at the pairings and results on the excellent chess results page, the Chinese team is amazing. Ding Liren on board 1, 2753. Yu Yangyi 2725 on board 2, Li Chao 2746 on board 3, but Wei Yi was playing board 4 in round 1 against Kosovo. Now Kosovo is a team full of GMs, but their rating range is from 2189 on bottom board. That's Wei Yi's opponent. Sorry, they're not GMs. No, I'm misreading that. No, the Kosovo team hasn't got any GMs, in fact. Their board 1 is an FM 2337, and it goes down to an IM who's actually only 2189, so maybe an inactive IM or something, but it's pretty low rated, I believe, in general for an IM 2189. So his name's Bedri Sadiku. Let's see what happens in this game. So fascinating encounter. Yes, I mean there's a big rating gulf between the two. E4 from Wei Yi. We have a French defense, and Wei Yi chooses actually the Tarrasch variation. So instead of inviting a winner with knight c3, that pin, White avoids that pin because White can always play c3. We have a6, which is quite an unusual move here, but it has been played a bit before. Knight f3, c5. Now we have e takes, bishop e2. It looks fairly standard so far, knight c6, but here after White castles, in fact Bedri Sadiku, he actually released the tension in the center, playing c4. This can be risky sometimes to play, to commit the pawns. Quite often in this position it seems c takes d4 has been played. Black accepts the possibility of having an isolated queen's pawn, but has fairly good piece play. But this is a little bit unusual to play c4 here. We have b3 just directly trying to just undermine. b5. Now rook e1. So threatening a discovered check, taking on c4. Black shields his king using that bishop, because maybe this bishop could be useful for bishop b7 on a4. Now here after a4, in fact bishop b7 isn't used here. Black in fact plays c3, so maybe hoping to squash White on the queen side. Maybe if the knight moves, maybe Black can consider b4. That might be interesting for Black, but it's another committal pawn move really. Black hasn't carried on his development. His king's still in the center. If he plays bishop b7, this is interesting. Some variations I was checking earlier. A takes is quite forceful, and actually White here, if we have this position, White can consider knight takes c4 to try and blast open the position with the king still in the center. This position here is dangerous. If Black continues development, d5 with the idea of d6, and you can see start the dangers now that Black faces. This will end up with White winning, having a big advantage there. So better is something like this. No, that's not better actually. That's winning as well for White. No, there is a move here which Black can play. Maybe just castling, but it ends up White's just a pawn up here, much better. So, but that was the alternative here, to play bishop b7. You might think that's an interesting alternative to what was played. So c3, what can go wrong with c3? Okay, there is obviously another issue with c3, that b5 can be taken, but isn't Black just taking here, attacking the rook if takes on b5? In fact, this is what Wei Yi did. He just took on b5. He treats this as a piece sack. Now he's sacking that knight on d2. Fascinating position. Bishop takes d2. So what's happened here is quite a few pawns have been collected for the piece. Black's got 5 pawns and white has white has 7 pawns. Katie's barking downstairs in excitement for this position, obviously, or my excitement. So knight b8, and now we have b takes a6, so yet another pawn bites the dust. Yeah, so it's like 3 pawns for the knight. And black actually plays bishop takes a6 here. If trying to develop this, just question this knight f6. If just trying to develop the castle, a7, we can have a continuation like this. Yeah, this is a line I was looking at. And yeah, bishop b4, the black king is still in the center. And black can get in trouble here, for example, like this, with the king still in the center. It's going to be troublesome for black. This is a big advantage for white. So yeah, that natural knight f6 isn't so great to play knight f6. So black played bishop takes a6. We have now bishop b5 check, exploiting the pin. Black doesn't really want to give up that rook on a8. It just goes to f8. So what's the problem with the king on f8 in this position? There are still soft spots, and you know, the classic soft spot that we learn as beginners when many of us learn the Goiko piano, the classic soft spot is f7. Is that the case here? Is f7 an exploitable soft spot in this particular position? White has the lead in development. Black's rooks are far from developed. The knights are still in their original squares. White plays knight e5. Yeah, looking at this soft spot among other squares like d7 and c6, but really f7, you can imagine things like queen f3 now, or queen h5, looking at f7. It's simple, direct, but dangerous. Because if the bishop ever neglects like this diagonal, then there's bishop b4 check. So f7 is vulnerable here. Black plays queen d6. Guess what white plays here? Find the most accurate move. I believe this is the most accurate move in the position, really. It's pretty direct stuff from here on in. Very, very direct. Almost like Morphe-like play, in fact, I have to say. So, white to play here. What would you play with white? 5 seconds? Okay, it's nice to play in a serious Olympiad with moves like queen h5 when they work. It's better than queen f3 for a classic reason. If we play queen f3, black can defend with knight f6. Yeah, doesn't this remind you of primary school ideas? Attacking at f7, the soft spot. So no, better than that here, queen h5. No knight f6, we just mate on f7. So black plays g6. What else? Let's have a look at some alternatives. If queen e6, then that runs into knight d7 check, winning the queen. That's not particularly pleasant for black. If queen f6, bishop g5, queen f5, and we can nudge the queen gently with g4 away back to a horrible e6 square, where we can play that knight d7 again. So not too many great alternatives just to try and defend f7 here. We have g6 weakens the dark squares, obviously. White goes straight into those dark squares with bishop h6 check. White has calculated a nice forcing winning sequence here, which isn't too complicated. Knight takes, queen takes, and here is actually the final move of the game, which I'll let you try and guess. It's a nice one. I'll give you 5 seconds to pause the video starting from now. Can you see the final winning move here? Okay, bishop e8, yeah, f7 soft spot. The pawn can't move because it'll be like checkmate. Black had to resign here. You don't really want to give up the queen for 2 pieces here, because the pain doesn't end there. The pain wouldn't end. White's still got a raging attack after Queen F4 check. It's just totally winning. So Bishop E8 was the final move of the game. I don't know about you guys, but it's crisp, crushing games like this which are like caffeine to me. They can wake one up. They can think, oh, chess is more approachable as game then. This direct play can actually win. There was a piece sack here which was really creative, which just pounced on black while black's pieces were still asleep. Well, the king was still in the centre, and then soft spots, hammering those soft spots like F7. Very direct, but very effective. Black wasn't in really a position. Black was still half asleep, all his pieces, spectator pieces. So there you go, a nice crisp game from round one. Hope you enjoyed it. Comments, questions, likes appreciated. Thanks very much.